There we go.
Welcome back.
Yo, Will, what's up, dude? Happy Friday.
Welcome back.
What the heck? What is this? All right, that seems to be working. Let's go. Okay, I think everything's all connected and working as expected. Good morning, peoples. Hope you're all having a great day. It's Friday, y'all. We got a lot going on today. So let's jump in. How are we doing? Good to see you this morning. Welcome back to the channels. We are live yet again. Yesterday we had the state of play. It was really big, and then I played some Pokemon ZA on stream. It was fun. But this morning we've got game news. We're going to talk about the state of play yesterday. We're going to do a little recap on that, and I'll share my thoughts and opinions as usual.
Back.
You know, as we do. Dang, I was ready. It was a big mouth distracted me at work. You should have punched him in his big mouth. I'm like, shut up! I have a channel point to redeem. There. Sorry. I was pulling my own stream up on my TV. Oh, hacks. You know, gotta get the viewership in. We're trying to get watch hours up. There we go. I can hear myself. It was awkward. Alright, well anyway. Yeah, so we got game news to talk about, but how was everybody's week? What are y'all doing this weekend? It's Valentine's weekend. Boys, I hope you've all gotten your lady a little something special. They always want flowers, even when they say they don't want flowers. Trust me. Ask me how I know. You also want to make sure that if you're a dad and you have a daughter, you buy a nice Valentine's gift for your daughter and teach her that no crusty little boy needs to bring some little paper card with a lollipop attached to it and that'd be acceptable. All right, just I can't say anything because my kid might find out what I did for her for Valentine's Day. But just telling you, you always buy a Valentine's gift for your daughter. Make her feel special. Dang it! There's a platform. There's a hill I will die on. There's a platform I will die on. I think it's important, and you know, as dads, we have to teach our daughters that these crusty little boys out there don't need to be coming around here. You know. Oh, thank you, Base Guru. That's exactly what I mean. Crusty little boy. B-O-I. Anywho, let's talk about some game news and hang out. Let me switch the playlist up here. We need some synthwave. The game news music. I'm just telling you guys, like, life lessons, right? If you have a kid, you have a responsibility. Alright, news mode is on. So let's jump in. Alright, I have talked about this before. Fortnite has a Kingdom Hearts collab in development. It has been claimed. It has been claimed for over a year now. We've been talking about this potential collab off and on for a year on the game news. I think we've talked about it during the summer last year, that there's a potential Kingdom Hearts collaboration coming. I don't know what that looks like. Does that just mean skins? Does that mean some kind of special event? All I can say is Disney and Fortnite are buddies, and so this makes sense as far as collaborations go. So just be ready for that. Like that makes sense. Just like your comment, base group. I mean, I know who to call. Let's see. A new claim states that Kingdom Hearts is coming to Fortnite in the coming months. Fortnite has a lot of collaborations in the works for this year, and they really do. Some of the leaked stuff is insane. Some we've already heard about, and others are still in the leaks and rumor stage. It seems Overwatch 1 is pretty close. That one I'm interested in to see what they do, since the collaboration's characters have been revealed. However, the rumored Minecraft collab has yet to be announced. We've now received information about another game collab. Fortnite X Kingdom Hearts. You've got to have an X in there. Arriving in the coming months. The leak about Fortnite Kingdom Hearts comes from Fortnite leaker Adira FN Info on X, reposted by the reliable Sheena BR. The leak states that the collaboration is already in active development and should arrive in the next months. Sheena BR added that they had recently heard this information from multiple leakers, each with different sources. It's also speculated it will be 3 more months before an official announcement for this collab. So, yeah, it's going to be a ways away, but Fortnite leaks are... I didn't realize how leaky of a game Fortnite actually is. Like, people will find out stuff long before you would expect, like, an announcement. And then the announcement eventually shows up, and you're like, oh, yeah, I did learn about that. It's crazy. But we've talked about this. I mean, this has been talked about for, like I said, about a year. We've talked about this collab coming. You think they like the leaks? I do, too. I think they test the waters. If there were negative reactions to this leak, they'd go, maybe we don't do it, While I'm thinking about it, if we could get some likes on the YouTube page, on the YouTube stream, that would be fantastic. 5 likes this morning on the hour stream. We could do that. 5 likes for an hour. Can we click over there? And don't leave wherever you're watching from. Just open up a new tab or whatever and just go drop a like on YouTube. It helps out a ton. But yes, this is coming. It's going to be cool. But yes, I do think they like the leaks and they like testing the waters with, like testing the feedback. Like, are people looking forward to it or are they not? All right, let's move on. Hey, 25 stream streak, dude. You have been killing it lately. I feel like my Stream Deck pedal is not working for me to advance my tabs. Garbage. Hold on, let's see. Maybe it just didn't change the profile, because that happens from time to time. You guys don't care about that. That's exactly what happened. There we go. Aha! Now I can be lazy. Alright, Sega. I have not talked about them in a while. I've kind of cooled off on Sega. Sonic is one of my favorite game franchises of all time. And, hey, thanks for that. One of my favorite game franchises of, like, all time. And I have really cooled off on it as a whole. I feel like I'd like to pick up Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. But they've almost stopped making, like, stuff that I liked outside of Sonic. And that's kind of a bummer. But this got my attention. Sega plans 4 major mainstay IP releases in the next fiscal year. So Sega has plans for the immediate future. On February 13th, 2026, Sega announced its third quarter earnings for the fiscal year 26. When outlining their business initiatives for the upcoming fiscal year, Sega stated that they plan to release 4 major new titles for their mainstay properties. So do they detail this? Probably not. But we know there's a Jet Set Radio remake or re-release coming at some point. And they had that big push, was it last year or maybe the year before, where they talked about all these remakes they were doing for like Golden Axe and Shinobi and Jet Set Radio. And so I think Crazy Taxi was also in the mix as well. And so if we're getting like those new games at some point, I think the closest one would be Jet Set Radio or Crazy Taxi. But I don't know. I can't confirm that. It's pure speculation based on the coverage and leaks that we've seen. It seems like it seems like Sega's just kind of calmed down, or they've tightened up their leak pipeline, because I feel like we find out about Sega stuff as much as we find out about Fortnite stuff, and as early. So maybe leak culture is just kind of cooling off as a whole, and we don't hear about as much early stuff that we shouldn't hear about. But I would like to see some trailers from Sega with their mystery IPs, mainstay IPs. I would love to see, you know, if they do Sonic Frontiers 2, that would be great. I like Sonic Frontiers. Maybe they do that Sonic Adventure remake that we've all been wanting for a long time. That would also be fantastic. You know, I think that's important. To remakes and nostalgia are selling right now. It's kind of what the games industry is kind of building on. It's what's propping it up. Pure nostalgia. And we'll talk about that with the state of play recap we'll hit in just a minute. But you know, it's a lot of nostalgia that's driving sales and keeping the industry moving forward, at least somewhat. You know, new IPs and new entries in existing IPs are a big risk for these companies. So what do you do right now in this state where things are expensive and people are getting laid off? You make things people want. You use the IPs you have to make games, good games that people want to play. And you do that. You can do that by re-releasing old games that people already played that they'd like to play again, but on newer hardware. That's the thought process. There's nothing wrong with that, except if that's the only thing they're doing. Then there's the problem. All right. So, speaking of nostalgia, let's talk about the state of play. This was a great one, by the way. I really enjoyed it. We're looking at Insider Gaming's recap of it because I'm gonna miss stuff, and it's gonna be out of order, I think. But let's talk about all of it. Hey, Rocket, thanks for the heart me. What's up, dude? Good to see you this morning. So everything announced at the state of play, and we're just gonna scroll through a bunch of this. So 007 First Light did get a new trailer. Game looks awesome. I definitely want to play it. 4 Loop looked kind of cool. This like roguelike 4-player co-op dungeon crawler looked super interesting. Seems like I need 3 other friends to play with, and that's not likely. Anyway, I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. It looks cool. I wonder if they can hold, people's attention long enough. Beast of Reincarnation got another trailer. Game Freak has a really good looking game on their hands here. I hope it does really well. I hope it does well enough to allow the devs at Game Freak to do something else besides Pokemon, because I think they're burnt out. I think that's why Pokemon hasn't been good. I'm sure you have at least 3 friends. Oh man, that's funny. Brigadine Abyss. Apparently Brigadine is a series from the OG PlayStation days, PS1 days. I don't know anything about it. This looked very anime, and then they showed the battle grid and strategy system, and I was like, well, okay, maybe not. Castlevania Belmont's Curse. This looks awesome, and if I'm understanding correctly, it's made by the people who made Dead Cells. They worked with Konami to make a new Castlevania, and it looks really good. And I don't even really like Castlevania, but this made me want to go and play the other games and maybe play this one when it comes out. This looked really cool. Control Resonant got a gameplay trailer. It looked awesome. So looking forward to Control Resonant. I need to go finish the OG Control. Crimson Moon got this announcement trailer. I don't know anything about this, but it looked cool. It looked really cool, so I definitely want to see more on this. I'd like a demo of this game. Looked like an action RPG game. Looks cool. Darwin's Paradox. They showed this right after all the Metal Gear Solid stuff, and I didn't quite get it. It looks okay. Neat idea. Death Stranding 2 is coming to PC. So the state of play announced a PC game. But that's cool. I assume it'll hit Xbox probably, in another 12 months or so. By the time Death Stranding 3 is got a release date or something. Let's see. Dead or Alive 6 last round got a trailer, and then a teaser for like the next Dead or Alive was also shown. It's cool to see that the game is still alive and kicking. Ghost of Yotei Legends is multiplayer mode. Free update if you have Ghost of Yotei. This looked neat. Co-op combat, fighting demons and stuff. Looks super cool. God of War, Sons of Sparta. This was shadow dropped during the thing. a 2D prequel to the God of War like saga, specifically the Greek trilogy, though it seems so nice. And then we got confirmation a God of War trilogy remake is in development, early in development. The OG voice actor for Kratos from the Greek trilogy introduced the trailer, or introduced the project, said that there'll be more to show later. This has me hyped. This made the whole thing really good for me, because I love the original God of War games. They were so good. I loved playing them. And so seeing them get a full remake, I'm wondering what they're going to change, what they're going to update, or if they're going to stay true to like what the original games were. I don't know, I'm just excited to see. The modern visuals are going to just really carry the game. And this is what I was talking about with nostalgia, right? Because this is like the best announcement of the whole thing, and it's old games being remade. That's what's in right now. Remake the old games. This John Wick game looked cool. Apparently this is a prequel to like the movies and stuff, from what I understand. This looks awesome. I'm very pumped for this. This looks cool. I don't know anything about John Wick. This looks awesome. Kena Scars of Cosmora. This opened up the show, and I want to play the original much more now. I remember when they showed the original right around the PS5 launch. I was like, this looks cool, and I never played it, because that's what happens. I go, that looks neat, and then I don't touch it. But this looks really good, and so I'd like to check this one out along with the original at some point in time. But this looks like a cool series. It just, that's it. That's all I can say. It's colorful, and it looks interesting. Marathon, this was huge. Marathon got a gameplay trailer, a launch day, in the launch day thing in the trailer. Plus, they're doing a server slam like the week before launch. Huge that they're doing this, because this is what is needed. It's a public, open server slam. Everybody will be able to get on and play Marathon, and that's what the game needs. Because I'll admit this: if they had marketed this game the way they showed this launch trailer yesterday, I wouldn't have been so hard against it. But now I can see what the game is. I can try it myself. I'm very much looking forward to playing it. It was a really good trailer. I suggest, if you've been on the fence about Marathon, go check it out. This kind of made me want to play, and so I'm gonna check out the server slam weekend. May do some streams on it, just to see what other people think. I don't know. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls got a gameplay trailer showing off the X-Men team. And then they teased that the other teams will be revealed up to launch, I suppose. And it looks good. They showed Wolverine, Storm, Danger, and I forgot who the third person was. Forgive me. I really don't remember, but it was cool. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. This is Metal Gear Solid 4 and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. MGS4 coming to modern consoles is huge, because that was stuck on PlayStation 3. Like, the only way to play this before this announcement was to get a PS3 and play it, and now you don't have to, and that's awesome, because all the other games seem to have hit modern hardware. It's cool that they were finally able to port this over. And then Peace Walker is, well, it is what it is. Mina the Hollower got another trailer. Game looks great. I would like to play it, from the people who made Shovel Knight. Neva Prologue. I don't know. I don't know anything about this game. I saw the trailer. Looked neat. Art style looked interesting. I didn't play the original game to know, anything. Pragmata got a new trailer showing off like an open world area. Looks kind of neat. Pragmata's looking better and better. The more I see it, the more I hear people talk about it, the more interested I've become in it. So I'll probably check it out. There's a demo, I think, on PS5, and I know the Switch 2 got a demo, so I definitely should check that out. But yeah, definitely give that one a shot. Project Windless. This looked interesting. It looked like Dynasty Warriors, but you're a giant chicken man, and I thought that was cool. It looks weird, and I like weird, so I think it's cool. It's cool. All right, Rayman 30th Anniversary Edition. I thought this was kind of disappointing. I thought we were getting like a Rayman 1 reimagined or remake kind of thing, and instead they just dropped this compilation of Rayman 1. Different versions of the original Rayman just being liked, shared through this collection, and that's it. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. It just seems like it would be like if Sega went, no Base Guru, but we'll check it out. We'll check it out at the end of the show. Remind me. It kind of I saw this, and I think of all the times Sega has compiled all the Genesis Sonic games into one set. But what if they did every time they re-released Sonic 1 on different hardware? So if they did like the mobile version, and then the Game Boy Advance version, oh god, it's terrible. And then they did like the original Genesis version, and then the Game Boy version of Sonic 1. Like, what? That's what this compilation is, but for Rayman. And it's weird. It's such a weird thing. Like, why not just, I don't know, do something else? I'm sure some people are surprised by it, but it just seems like a lazy compilation. And maybe I'm being unusually hard, but I'm really mad at Ubisoft, so that probably is some of it. Resident Evil Requiem got another trailer. It's looking like Resident Evil. Rev Noir, apparently this is a new game from Konami. This looks kind of cool. I would definitely like to check out more of it. I want to see more gameplay, maybe. I think that would be helpful. Saros got a gameplay overview trailer. Looked really good. I don't know if this is the kind of game I would like to pick up, but I liked some of the stuff they showed with how your permanent upgrades and progress like carry over every time you die. I think it looks cool in that regard. Silent Hill Townfall. It looks like Silent Hill, but new and newer stuff. Star Wars Galactic Racer got a new trailer. Looks awesome. The game looks great. Yako Shinobi Ops looked kind of cool. Co-op Tenchu stealth ninja gameplay. That looks neat. And that was it. That was all they showed. I wish they had put these in order. Insider Gaming, why couldn't you put these in order? But overall, a lot of cool stuff shown. A lot of major announcements that, I don't know, just got me kind of hyped. You know, the God of War thing was like my favorite announcement, but a lot of the other stuff I saw, I was like, okay, this looks good. I'm glad, we'll be able to pick this up soon. My thing that really like let me down was Square wasn't at this show at all. And a lot of people are starting to speculate that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 will be announced once a Rebirth launches on Switch 2 and Xbox in the summer. And we'll get either some kind of Summer Games Fest or maybe a Tokyo Game Show announcement for Remake Part 3. And then hopefully we can also get some Kingdom Hearts news this year. Please, Nomura, can you just work on it a little bit? At least make a new trailer? I don't know. That was like my biggest bummer. I was really hoping to see some Kingdom Hearts something at the State of Play. But I think I got myself hyped up. I'm not disappointed. It was a good State of Play. I'd still give it a, probably like an A-. There's a couple of games in there I was like, that was a weird choice to put here, but overall, cool. The PlayStation Plus update during the State of Play felt out of place. That feels like that could be like a monthly video that they do where they announce what's coming to the PlayStation Plus instead of waiting for a State of Play, because every month they're adding games to PlayStation Plus. So why not? I don't know. The State of Plays aren't monthly events, So why would you dedicate time for the second half of the month of PlayStation Plus to your State of Play, which I don't know. That's kind of a weird waste of time, but that's probably my biggest criticisms. There wasn't any Kingdom Hearts, and the PlayStation Plus stuff was odd placement. Anyway, all right, let's move on. This is a list. What are we looking at? I don't know. We'll click away again. Okay, I thought this was neat. Switch's Virtual Boy headset can play the VR-supported Switch games, including Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. So, VGC can confirm that all 4 Labo VR-supported games work on the Virtual Boy. I thought that was cool. So if you guys remember with the Labo cardboard VR kit, you can play Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey in 3D. I'm wondering Okay, this is what I wanted. VGC can also confirm that the Switch 2 edition of Zelda Breath of the Wild retains the VR option, meaning its VR mode, which lets players play through the entirety of the game in VR, can still be accessed even if players have the upgraded version. Which means I wonder if it runs better on the Switch 2 in the VR mode. That's what I really... Chat, we need some donos. I need this Virtual Boy headset for research and to entertain you guys on stream. That's it. That's my proposal. Help me get a Virtual Boy headset and we'll have some shenanigans on stream. I'm actually excited for the Virtual Boy release. I do want the headset mostly for curiosity's sake. But playing Breath of the Wild in 3D on a system that can do more than 30 FPS might be interesting. You'd have to mod it to let you capture it. I'll just get some Meta Ray-Bans and you guys will just be there with me. So you see, this project has already gotten more expensive. As I've designed it, I've already gotten more expensive. Oh, nice. But yeah, that's I thought this was cool, and I would like to get this headset soon and check out the Virtual Boy titles. But now it has other uses though. It's not just a one-off accessory. You can play Mario Odyssey in 3D. All right. Anyway, how much is it? It's like $100. It's $100 for some plastic with some lenses and a dock for your Switch or Switch 2. Because I think it works with both. I think it works with the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. Which is that's I like that they did that. All right, we're moving on. Okay. This is not surprising. Microsoft could reportedly merge Game Pass and Premium, or Game Pass Premium and PC Game Pass. This has to happen. The fact that okay, we have Xbox Play Anywhere, where everything is an Xbox, but we have Game Pass and PC Game Pass. But if everything's an Xbox, why isn't PC Game Pass just called Xbox Game Pass? If they merge Game Pass Premium and it gives me access to PC games, then I might resubscribe to Game Pass at the middle tier and not Ultimate. I could say that would up the value of that middle tier slightly. But let's see. Microsoft is reportedly exploring a merger of two of its Game Pass tiers, uniting the service's PC and console offerings. Currently, Microsoft offers PC Game Pass, which gives PC players access to Game Pass titles on PC only. This tier also includes EA Play and access to Microsoft's first-party games on day one. So that's what Ultimate kind of used to be with day one. Okay, wait. Was Premium now what Ultimate was? I don't know. The publisher also offers Xbox Game Pass Premium, which offers the console, PC, and cloud libraries without EA Play. According to The Verge, Microsoft could soon simplify its lineup by combining the two tiers into a single offering. It's also claimed that Microsoft could experiment with the free version of its Xbox Cloud Gaming service. So a free version would be ad-supported, and that would be kind of cool. Brent, what's up? Good to see you, man. PC Game Pass currently costs $16.49 a month. Xbox Game Pass Premium, which is formerly known as Xbox Game Pass Standard, costs $15 per month. Microsoft announced sweeping Game Pass price increases in October, and a bunch of people unsubscribed because $30 for Ultimate was stupid. That's not what the article said. That's just what I said, because that's what they should have wrote here. Anyway, me editorializing somebody else's article. What I was saying, though, was PC shouldn't exist on its own. PC should just be merged in with Premium and cost 15 or 16 or whatever it is a month. Because why not? I mean, if everything's an Xbox and I should be able to play my games anywhere, why am I having to pay for like the top tier of Game Pass just to make that happen? You know, the top two tiers should include PC games, even if that premium tier is limited. I'll take it. You know, hopefully they can clean up and kind of get people back on board with Game Pass, because they lost me with the $30 a month. That's too much for a subscription to something I barely used every day. You know, in fact, the only thing I was getting out of it was online multiplayer for like a handful of games that required online multiplayer. And in that case, now I could just get the cheap Game Pass every month that I want to do an online game instead of auto renewing and just paying for it indefinitely. But anyway, yeah, they would have to merge these. That would be dumb not to, because it goes against their entire marketing. It doesn't make sense. Anyway. All right. Okay, so Overwatch had some major wins in the last week. Last week they announced the new overhaul, dropping to 2, going to a yearly story, like chapter-based structure with seasons inside of those chapters. 5 new characters dropped. UI revamp on the main menus, so it's easier to get into games, and just lots of things were changed. The game is great again. I was playing it on stream Tuesday. I've been playing it off and on since the new season dropped. It is very fun. Has a lot, just feels like Overwatch used to feel all of a sudden, and I don't know what changed. The new characters are a lot of fun to play, but with one of the new characters, people thought that the way she looked in some of the animated stuff and the pre-release material to how the in-game character model looks was too different. And so Blizzard yields new Overwatch hero Anran will be redesigned after players complained about everyone looking like Kiriko. We agree she can be even better. So fair enough. This is Anran in the animated stuff, and then if there's an in-game shot, she does look softer in the face, and it's fine. The community spoke up. I think what really pushed Blizzard to actually doing this redesign was the voice actor even had something to say about it. And I guess, hey, you've got every right to speak up on something you want to happen. I think people overreacted to it personally. I don't think it was a big deal. But hey, the internet will bully a company to get its way, and on something like this, they could easily gain more goodwill. And I think Blizzard's in a spot where any gain in goodwill is almost retaking lost land to begin with for them, because Blizzard used to be so highly regarded as a company, and they have slipped so far down from where they used to be that anything to build trust with their communities that support their products and hopefully bring new people in is very important, and so if they keep doing that, that's going to be great. And that's why I think this redesign won't be a big deal. They just need to restructure her face just a little bit, and it would be fine. It would meet those expectations. Me personally, I don't care. The character is really fun to play, and it's first person. I don't ever see what she looks like except in the menu, and I'm not really paying attention then. I'm just picking a character. So there you have it. That's why I don't really make a big deal about skins and stuff anymore, because I can't see them half the time anyway, right? Anyway, all right. I think this is the last article I had from Games Radar. Valve trials new Steam reviews option that lets you include your hardware specs, letting everyone know if those performance issues are a you problem. They should have put this in italics or quotes or something. It'll be easier than ever to silently judge people. So the latest Steam update toys with letting players attach their hardware specs to their reviews so others can more easily see whether they are likely to experience the same level of performance while playing. As mentioned in the latest Steam client update notes, one of the beta additions is the option to attach hardware specs when writing or updating a Steam user review on a game's store page. Other additions include the option to send your frame rate data to Valve so the company can learn about game compatibility and improve Steam. Bug fixes for Linux users, and the option to add a comment when you report that a game is not suitable for Steam Deck. Yeah, reasonable. However, the ability to include personal hardware specs to Steam reviews is the star of the show with the latest beta update. Steam reviews eschew any form of numerical rating in favor of a simpler recommendation system. This means that many choose not to approve a game purely based on performance. It makes sense. If a game constantly crashes on you, then you're not going to recommend it, even if you would have loved it had you been able to play perfectly. This can be the case in new games, even if you pass the minimum or even recommended specs on the Steam page. The new review option will allow players to show others how powerful their machine needs to be to run a game that has been anointed with the dreaded mixed tag due to performance issues. And that makes sense. If you see mixed reviews and they're all performance related, and you see more people running 4000 series or 5000 series NVIDIA hardware, but low RAM, they're running their system RAMs at 8 gigs. It's maybe maybe consider upgrading your system to where it actually will play games correctly. You know, it's not difficult. Oh, we do have 2 more articles. Okay, I thought this was the last one. I've got 2 more. But yeah, I think this is really funny. It might help people be more informed. You know, my rig can run it. You know, it brings a new argument to it. Works on my machine, which if you're a software developer, it's a very common phrase when you're demoing code or people are pulling your code to their machines. You know, so that'll be really funny. But I think it's a good change. Anyway, all right, let's talk about HighGuard, because the game is on life support, and apparently a bunch of the devs got laid off. The studio's downsizing. What do you mean my 5080 16 gig card isn't enough? Windows only requires like 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah, exactly. People don't know what they're doing. But okay, so HighGuard, not in a good spot. As HighGuard Studio Wildlight faces mass layoffs, Dev reacts, decries gamer culture, and says innovation is on life support. We were turned into a joke from minute 1. Well, let's read on. Within minutes, it was decided this game was dead on arrival, says former HighGuard artist. The final game announcement that capped off the 2025's Game Awards show was HighGuard, the new PvP raid shooter from Wildlight Entertainment, a fledgling independent studio led by former Apex Legends and Titanfall developers from Respawn Entertainment. It came out late last month across Xbox, Windows PC, and PS5 on January 26th, but just over 2 weeks later, the future for both the FPS and the team that made it looks bleak. This week, several now former Wildlight devs revealed that there have been mass layoffs at the studio, RIP, and while the game remains playable, it seems clear it's on life support and will be maintained by a skeleton crew. One such developer, artist Josh Sobel, has taken to social media to lament HighGuard's failure and reflect on how it was perceived by gamers. Sobel says that everyone at Wildlight was very optimistic about the project after working on it for 2.5 years. You should be optimistic about projects you're working on. If you're not, why are you working on them? And that feedback, even from unbiased sources, was positive, with negative critique being constructive and actionable. But then the trailer came out, and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive reviews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative-leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not, he wrote. The hate started immediately, he continued, before detailing how gamers harassed him personally and relentlessly on Twitter, and then proceeded to do elsewhere after content creators mocked him for setting his account's private status. All this was very emotionally taxing. Well, okay, if you're going to go out there and say, you guys decided we sucked from day one, when in actuality you all suck for doing that, which, I mean, okay, maybe he's not wrong, but people saw the game and had a reaction. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do, you know, with that. You put your art out there, it's a risk that people don't like it. I'm sure a lot of people did like it, but the overwhelming majority was, what is this? And what is going on? You know, like, I'm sorry that it turned out that way. Not everything gets to be the best game ever. You know, a lot of things are just middling, average performing games, and that's okay. Some stuff is a total failure. That happens. That's business. That's life. We were turned into a joke from minute 1, largely due to false assumptions about a multi-million-dollar ad placement. Sobel notes, referring to how many believed the placement of HighGuard's trailer at the Game Awards was due to payment. Showrunner Jeff Keighley reportedly just liked the game, which the Game Awards placement didn't help, because it's like, well, this is your big reveal. This doesn't look like a big reveal kind of game. Oh, and look, we were right. Within minutes, it was decided this game was dead on arrival, and creators now had free rage bait content for a month. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to heck. Comment sections were flooded with this copy-paste meme phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. He lamented. I'm sorry, that's really funny. Dang. People are mean on the internet, but sometimes it's funny. At launch, we received over 14K review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. Well, I finished the tutorial and played a match, and it did not make me want to play more. It made me want to uninstall the game. Boom, roasted. Never heard anything about that ad. I just heard folks playing the game saying it was okay or not for me. Not that it was really good. And that's the problem. The majority of people were like, it's okay. It's fine. Or it's not for me, meaning I don't know who this is for, but I'm not going to keep playing it. He goes on to acknowledge that there's been constructive criticism about Highguard, and that what's happened isn't purely the fault of gamer culture, but asserts that it absolutely played a role in the game's downfall. All products are at the whims of the consumers, and the consumers put absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard, and it worked. No, we didn't put absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard. I think this guy needs to understand that they put a product out that it was put in a spot that made it look like this AAA release, and it wasn't that. And it needed to launch quietly and let itself grow over time and not become this hyped up, like, over, like, to me, it was put in a spot that it didn't belong. And that's, like, that happens. And it's a tragic mistake for this game. I think it could have been reworked in an open beta, early access kind of situation, and the game could have been tweaked, and it might have actually been fun. There were parts of it I really liked playing, but the first match that I played, I was more confused, and I felt like I was just kind of wandering around the map for most of it. Those two issues would require lots of rework for new players to really understand the loop right off the bat. The tutorial, it was too crammed. There was too much information going on there. I didn't get a lot from the tutorial. It doesn't take all that much effort to say the game didn't grab me or I think it was overhyped. Right, like it's not a hate campaign to go, I don't like the game. You know? Now, I think if your immediate reaction to the trailer was this looks like garbage, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't say stuff like that because you don't know. But you can definitely, like, tell if they're, like, bandwagoning hate on the game. You know? And I think a lot of people's reaction with where this game was placed in the Game Awards, you know, at the end, made it seem like it was bigger than it was, and so people's expectations were set, right? So I don't think that the gamer culture necessarily played a role in the game's downfall. It's that our expectations were set for us, and we had a reaction that went, that seems weird for an end of the Game Awards trailer. And then they put out their deep dive, and it was just like, well, I guess this is kind of neat. And that was it. That was what we got. We got the trailer at the end of the Game Awards, silence, and then a deep dive thing like the week before it came out, or the day before it came out. What are you supposed to do with those things? You know? Oh, man. It's crazy. I don't think... Now, there might have been people putting absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard. Fair enough. You know, like, there are people that do that. I think most people are reasonable and are going to go, oh, I just didn't like the game, and leave it at that. And move on to actually playing other things instead of being a tourist and complaining on the internet without actually doing anything. So now Sobel says many of Wildlight's former staff will be forced to assimilate back into actual corporate industry they tried to avoid by going independent. Hey, that's a risk, man. Like, that's life. And that Highguard will be used as an argument against leaving the golden handcuffs behind in favor of making a new multiplayer game the indie way in the future. I don't think that's the case. I think Highguard is an example of misplaced expectations. Soon, if this pattern continues, all that will be left are corporations, at least in the multiplayer space. Innovation is on life support. Okay, dude, you're being a little overdramatic here. You're being super, like, you know, where's your fainting couch with this? What is the problem? Maybe go see a therapist, because this is overdramatic. Like, you did your best. People didn't like it. That's the gaming space. You put out a live service game in a space where people are playing like 3 or 4 live service games, and that's it. That's all people are playing. It's Fortnite, Warzone, Roblox. What else do you put in there? Maybe Overwatch. Maybe. And that's only recency that I would mention that. So you really can't even count it. Minecraft, like, those people are not leaving those games to try something new, especially something new and confusing looking like Highguard. That's all I'm saying. I hate that all these guys are having to find new jobs or whatever. Arc Raiders, thank you, Rocket. That's also one that is massive. Arc Raiders is doing well. You know, people, but like long-term games that have been out for years, people are not shifting away to try something new, especially your younger crowd. They're playing what they know and they're playing what they can count on, which I get it. Back in my day, we had to try new stuff. We ran out of game to play. If I finished Sonic 2, I wasn't speedrunning Sonic 2. I was playing Mortal Kombat or Mario World or something else because I finished the game. Games like this, there's no end, so you just keep playing in an endless loop. So you can't release something new and expect people to jump on board super fast and not have like a solid product in. You're competing with systems that have hooked people for actual years at this point, and that's a hard task to do, especially with multiplayer. Like, multiplayer service games are probably on the downfall. And it is what it is. Like, you can't do much about it. But here I've ranted a while against Highguard. I think this guy is, like I said, this guy's gonna need some therapy or something. And I'm not saying it as like a negative thing. Like, he's taking it so personally, and he shouldn't be. Even if Highguard had a rocky launch or independent, self-published, dev-led studio full of passionate people just trying to make a fun game with zero AI and zero corporate oversight, deserved better than this. Well, here's the thing about things you think you deserve. No one owes you anything. From a Christian standpoint, we all deserve hell, and thankfully we have Christ. And, like, that's a perspective I approach everything from. So no one owes you anything, brother. Nobody owed you support for this game. A lot of people jumped in and tried it. A lot of people did not like it. The end. We deserve the bare minimum, not having our downfall be gleefully manifested. Anybody cheering for the downfall should not be listened to seriously. I'm saying this whole statement is a weird situation to be in. However, I don't think it's okay that people were cheering for this game to fail because they're an indie game and they would want people to lose their jobs. They did make a bad game. That's unfortunate. That's the industry. It's a tough industry to be in right now. I'll leave it at that. Let's move on to another story. I've ranted long enough. I feel really bad for this guy. He's taking it so personally, and it wasn't personal. It wasn't against him. It was, the game's not good, and that's unfortunate. All right, anyway, let's move on. Xbox gearing up. Man, I've worked myself up. How do we even move on? That should have been the last article, right? Xbox is gearing up for a major PC crossover push at GDC. Xbox's GDC presence highlights Play Anywhere, PC onboarding, and cross-device continuity, offering fresh insight into where the platform could be heading next. Interesting. Microsoft has announced its presence at the GDC, covering a wide range of topics, with Jason Ronald, VP of Next Generation, kicking off the Xbox Dev Summit on March 11th, 2026. Your vice president of Next Generation. Microsoft really just be putting titles on people. Does that end? Or is it always like you always have to look to the future? You're the vice president of tomorrow. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. That's just the start. The schedule's packed with developer-focused sessions covering DirectX, gaming, AI, and future-proofing workflows for a multi-device world. While nothing explicitly points to new hardware, these talks could offer insight into where Xbox is heading next and may further support some of the rumors we have previously reported. So PC is the future, chat. That's what we've known that for a long time now. Oh man. It feels as though the messaging from Xbox is very deliberate, framing everything around the ecosystem rather than a single device. There's no direct mention of new hardware, but there is clear emphasis on continuity across console, PC, cloud, and other devices that aligns closely with Xbox's current strategy. First up is the Developer Summit on March 11, 2026, led by Jason Ronald, Xbox's VP of Tomorrow. He will reflect on 25 years of Xbox from console to cloud, reference devices like the Xbox Ally, and outline the broader vision for a more flexible, connected future for developers. I feel like I've said the same sentence at least 6 times now. Later that day, Travis Bradshaw and Andy McCaleb will host a session focused on how simple it has become to bring a PC game to Xbox. The presentation highlights improvements to onboarding and development workflows, reinforcing how closely PC and Xbox development now sit together. Okay, they're just repeating themselves over and over. That's not a lot to put there. Somebody was hitting the minimum word requirement to publish the article. I'm sorry, that was mean. But I'm interested. Maybe this offers some clarity into how Microsoft is truly approaching everything as an Xbox, and Xbox is a service, not a piece of hardware anymore. And I think that's fine. You know, we knew that was the case. But that does it for the game news. Oh, I think Base Guru wanted me to look up something. An update for Stardew Valley. I apologize if my rant on the guy complaining about Highguard was a little too ranty. I think people are losing their minds over every little thing these days, and that guy taking the criticisms and the failure of a game personally is tough. Like that's somebody that's put their identity in the wrong spot, in my opinion. I'm in agreement. I tried Highguard. I tried to like it. 1.7 update? Oh, okay. Well, let's check it out. Is there a trailer? September 2nd was the last announcement for 1.7. But I don't think there's been anything else. No release date for 1.7. And he's working on a separate game. Maybe a nothing burger. Nah, dude, it's cool. I'm willing to check it out. I need to play Stardew Valley. I've never played it. Bet any of the devs here right now would if they thought they could make enough money go independent today, regardless of code domain. But almost every startup fails and everyone knows it. Yeah, that's kind of the big thing with how being an indie developer is such a high risk thing unless you are doing it as a side project outside of your 9 to 5 and you get a big enough product that you could then bring in like a couple people to help with art or whatever, and it's a truly indie project. But starting a small company to develop an indie game, I don't see how you do that unless you, and even then these guys were experienced developers who went off on their own, but I don't see how you do that right now with how unsteady everything is and how hard it is to pull people away from games that they like, especially if you're doing a multiplayer title in today's realm. It's hard to convince people to leave, and that's including stuff like what we're calling friend slop, like Peak, and stuff like Overcooked and stuff where you play these games co-op with friends, and it's more trolling and shenanigans than actually playing the game. Those are like flash in the pan. They get really popular and then they fade out. Among Us, those types of games. But this game was positioned to be like a years long endeavor, and it had a roadmap, and nobody wanted it, and that's okay. You just have to accept that, hey, you didn't meet the mark this time. The guy's lucky if he gets away without going bankrupt, right? Well, with statements like that, he's making himself unhireable. If he's looking for another creative position in the games industry, he's making it to where it's like anybody that goes and looks up his name is going to see these articles and these quotes, and they're going to go, hey, maybe not. Excuse me. You know, like, people aren't going to want to deal with, I don't know. I don't want to sit there and call him a crybaby. It just comes off as like entitlement to something that he wasn't entitled to. You know, nobody promised this thing would be a success. And people trying to be encouraging are going to say, hey, that looks great, or that, you know, I like that. And in the playtest, you're going to get good feedback for the good parts. Well, you said it, Base Guru, not me. But he just comes off as kind of entitled to something that as a creator you should never be entitled to. That's like,
tough time never lasts.
No, there we go. That's it. Sums it up.
Only tough people last.
Only tough people last. You got to remember that last part though. That's the most important part. Anyway, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and just rage all morning. I do need to go get some work done. We've got some stuff going on later. What do we got? We got the podcast. Roundtable is back today. We took a week off because nobody could work on it last week. Nobody was available, and I wasn't solo hosting. Thank you for the hydrate. I need to set up a redirect. Where are we gonna send this? Let's send it over to, well, we've been on YouTube, we've been sending it over to Reforge, so we'll send it over there today as well. Both streams. Wherever you guys are watching from, I really appreciate it. It's been an awesome stream this morning. I've had a lot of fun. Ranting about things is not my cup of tea, but mostly because I drink coffee. And I'm leaving it there. It's a dumb joke. But guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for leaving likes on the videos and stuff. I really appreciate it. Watch on Twitch. Let's raid somebody there too. Who am I sending it to? We haven't raided GCG in a while. Let's raid him. If the plugin loads. Sometimes the Stream Deck does not like loading my raid plugin. It's not something I wrote, but it does not work very well for me. Alright, well, what that means is I'll just start a raid to GCG. Playing some Arc Raiders. Alright, guys, thanks for hanging out. I will see you Sunday night, probably. We don't have the Super Bowl or anything, so yeah. It should be a normal week of streams next week. My wife is home, so maybe we'll do some like Overwatch together or something. I'll convince her to stream with me. Alright. Love you guys. Y'all have a great day. I appreciate you. We'll see you if you are coming to the Gaming Roundtable. Obviously, that's on a different channel. But I hope to see you in chat there too. Bye!